I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast dedicated to the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Hooray! We're here!
We did it, and we didn't burn in a fire after changing all the rules. We weren't
No.
drummed out of the podcast
You know what?
community.
I think that's fine. You know, sometimes you just gotta rebrand. I'm sorry, the old Screen Snark can't come to the phone.
Did you really just quote Taylor Swift?
I did. I listened to, you need to calm down like 8 times today.
So, okay. First,
Love it.
I love that song, and I'm so glad that I have other queer friends who are like, I don't get what this particular part of the gay community's problem is. I mean, I get that there's discourse to have, but like, I like the song.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's trying to help. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always try and see the benefit of the doubt in most stuff when I can. So.
Also, more likely than not, if this song had been dropped by any other straight artist or perceived straight artist, because I'm not sure if Taylor has fully come out as anything other than straight. I've heard rumors that she is possibly bi, but like whatever. But like because it's Taylor, everybody's just mad. And I don't get, because I stan Taylor, and I've had a weird relationship like with my fandom or my following of her, where I'm like, she can suck it, or like, I think she's great. But at this point, I've just come to be like, I stan for Tay. You know, if like Billy Porter and the Fab Five and Ellen DeGeneres can all stand for Taylor, I think I can too.
I mean, I've always been a fan of her work. I think that she's a talented musician. So, yeah. It is what it is.
Also, me featuring Brandon Urie is a bop, and I will fight anyone who disagrees with me.
I mean, I'm in love with Brandon Urie on multiple levels. So, I'll just listen to anything he does, to be honest.
Crushes.
But anyway, enough about music, which is not what this show is. That is the voice, the dulcet tones of our guest, the incredible, insane Ian.
Hello. Oh, I get fanfare. That's lovely. Thank you.
You do.
Yes.
It was only right.
Well, I appreciate that.
And as you can tell, loyal listeners, we are, of course, recording in remote locations because Ian does not live in New York.
No, I live in the Chicago suburbs of Illinois, so.
Amazing.
Well, Ian, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm a big fan of the mostly movie podcast you actually do, which we'll talk about a little later, IP Consultants.
Yes.
Which, for the most part, is about movies, except when annoying listeners suggest video game franchises that were also in movies, and then
it's still about movies. It's mostly
That's
about movies and adaptations of other work into movies. It's about the bigger film franchises that are popular, which happen to be based on pop culture things, which sometimes tend to be based on other forms of media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, after Vincent's, your co-host's take on why the anime Street Fighter movies plot is the way it is, and his fan theory, which he conceives is the real theory, it was very much a Scott take, like on the Infinity Pod, so I kind of want to get them in a room together and see what nonsense they come up with. But before we get into all of that, as well as the comedy music that Ian does and beyond, we should talk about what we've most recently watched.
Yeah.
And as usual, I will begin by telling Rachel, and Ian, that
the listeners.
And the listeners.
So everyone,
that I finally watched the first John Wick.
Victorious!
I've been wanting to watch it for a while, especially after hearing you rant about it, and Scott and Patrick.
It's so good.
But it wasn't until Patrick's most recent video where he goes to all the locations of the movie that I was like, all right, what he's saying sounds really cool. I should finally give it a shot.
Yep.
And so me and my spouse, the incredible Sarah Storm, sat down and rented
Friend
it
of the
on
podcast.
Amazon and watched it on our TiVs, and I thoroughly loved it. I understand now the hype. It's funny. It's interesting. This ties into another podcast that I listened to today, which is the return of the We Heart Hartnett Boys on their new Keanu Reeves podcast.
Mm-hmm.
listening to them talk about the John Wick, I guess the John Wick, that's what I'll call it now. Sure,
The
why
John
not?
Wick of it all.
I heard them talk
is
about the John Wick on the Facebook.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, both of the Torpies more or less said that they passed it off because they thought it was another one of those generic action movies that were like all the rage at the time John Wick came out. Bruce Willis was doing a ton of them. Liam Neeson had already had his Taken fame at that point, and that resurgence. Not that Taken is one of those kinds of movies, but it was just like these older men doing action movies, sort of white savior narratives. And so I thought John Wick was just going to be another one of those, especially since it was just the dude's name. I was like, all right, I guess. And so I didn't pay any attention to them until the third one came out recently, and like literally everyone I respect on the nerd sphere was raving about it. So I was like, I guess I need to watch this movie.
Yes.
And it absolutely lived up to the hype. Trigger warning, I guess, for those listening. We're going to talk a little bit about the plot of this movie, and I am going to mention about a puppy dying. So if you want to hear more about that,
it's okay. The very first cold open of this episode is us talking about the fridging of John Wick's dog before either of us had seen this movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah. John Wick is part of our lore. I hope you're okay with that.
That's true. You're right. Actually, it is. I had forgotten that we talked about it previously. I knew your mom had talked about 3, but I couldn't remember if we talked about 1.
I actually have not seen John Wick specifically because of what happens to the puppy.
Oh,
I mean, and that's
a thing with
acceptable.
me. That's a thing with me. I can't see a movie, or I can't enjoy a movie if I find out about something happening to a dog, specifically a dog. There is a website out there called doesthedogdie.com where you can look up movies to see if a dog passes away in it.
Yeah.
I wish I had checked that website before seeing Polar, but anyway, we'll continue with what you're talking about.
But that said, it does happen off screen, and so like that's what I was worried about going into it, because I know I can deal with a lot of blood and guts, I can deal with gore, I can deal with violence, but if it had been on screen, like you just hear a yelp off screen. So for me, at least, I was able to get past it. But then, like, what's interesting about this movie is the first half hour to 45 minutes is this kind of run up to you finding out really who John Wick is.
Yeah.
And then once the revenge murder starts, it's so stylized and shot so interestingly that not only is it just a fun action movie, but it's really interesting because like all of the shootouts are a little bit different and the moves are different and the gunplay is different.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone who just loves violent action movies for the sake of it. I typically need a plot, but I didn't know that all I needed from a plot was some mystery and some dog killing revenge.
Yeah, it's amazing because John Wick to me is kind of like this century's sort of like noir or western movie where it's just like you have a guy, like just doing the things that he's good at, and this world is like his, this world of assassins is like real and hidden under our world. I love it. I love the color palette. I love the story told in the action sequences. I think the action is just pristine. And now that we're talking about it, I'm probably going to watch it again when we're done recording because I love John Wick. Holy socks.
I think what's interesting to me too is like
so
someone quoted this on Twitter, so I can't take credit, but they said we're in a Keanu sans, which I love.
Very much true.
I call it the Keanu Reeves illusion.
Oh, I like that. That's good too.
Because Keanu sans is very similar to McCona sans, and I kind of
who likes
I don't stan McConaughey. I'm sorry.
Most people don't, and
I
with taste
don't.
anyway.
Yeah, I stan Keanu though.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing is, it didn't occur to me until thinking about his filmography that I've actually been a longtime fan of Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
Of course, falling in love with his airheaded character in Bill and Ted back in the day, mostly because there was a relatability to possibly myself in high school, but that's a story for another time. But like, and then seeing movies over the years, the Matrix trilogy and everything else that he'd been in. It's not like I ever set out and went, I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan. Yeah. It's not until recently while watching John Wick and then seeing his public persona blow up for being the best human ever.
Mm-hmm.
That I realized, I've always been a fan of this guy. I've always loved this because I love Speed. Like, I love all of the movies that he's done that I've seen. Breakpoint. In fact, I can't really think of any movies I haven't liked. And, like, I'm actually really excited he's going to be in the new Toy Story, which comes out as of when we're recording this Friday. He plays Duke Kaboom, who's a Canadian Evel Knievel.
Have you watched the video of him recording lines?
Yes.
It's so good. It's so precious and wholesome. We do not deserve Keanu Reeves. Like, 2019 does not deserve Keanu, but we're getting him anyway, and I'm so grateful, even though we're wrecking everything.
Yeah.
At least Keanu is like, you know what? I'm going to play with puppies on BuzzFeed. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm conflicted about certain things about the new game, Cyberpunk 2077, because there have been some transgender bullshit they've talked about, and like,
what?
So they have, there's an ad in the world of the game that shows a woman with a visible underclothed penis, and it makes some kind of snide thing. It's supposed to be like the corporations are bullies and they say stupid shit and they're justifying. It's complicated. And anyway, I don't want to get into that, but one thing I am excited about that game is that Keanu Reeves is playing one of the main characters besides the character you play.
Yeah,
He's
ghost.
Right, and a digital ghost of a character from the original tabletop game Cyberpunk.
You watched
Johnny
the
Silverarm.
BDG Explains, didn't you?
Yes, I did watch the
Of
BDG
course you
Explains.
did. Of course we did.
But Johnny Silverhands I actually remember from the old school RPG, though I maybe only played it once. And so I thought that was really neat, and how excited he was to like present it, even though it was clear he had no idea what he was talking about. But it was adorable. Anyway, I've rambled enough about Keanu. I think to go back to the movie, I think
you though? Can we ever?
Have we ever?
True.
Yes.
I know, right? Is there a limit?
There isn't. There isn't a limit.
All right.
There is no limit, but
aside.
there is a Point Break.
Bringing my
Listen,
quality
I think
humor to every
you
outing I'm
came
in.
up. I think you came up with that with a little too much speed there.
Well, okay, so one quick aside about my love of Keanu Reeves, and then I will give my 3-word review of John Wick. So when I was growing up in Staten Island, there was a bar that I was a regular at with a bunch of my friends, and one of my friends, Rob, and I, after a few beers and getting buzzed, we would always put metal on the jukebox, and then we would say our names like Bill and Ted did, and then just go Wild Stallion and air guitar and freak out, and everyone would stare at us in the bar like we were crazy people. But thinking about something like that reminds me of how much I have actually loved this actor, and I'm so glad that I'm getting back into some of his stuff that I've missed.
Yeah.
And with that, John Wick really was a great movie because it had a ton of great actors in it, and while there aren't many, it's mostly a pretty dark movie. There aren't really any laughable moments. There are a lot of satisfying moments because you're rooting for John Wick. He lost his wife. He lost this dog that his wife got for him while she was dying before she died. It's like a true love story, revenge kind of thing that, you don't feel bad for any of these gangsters who have done terrible things are all dying because John Wick is an amazing assassin.
He's Baba Yaga.
Let's see. 3-word review for the original John Wick. Ever notice that about trilogies? If the first movie doesn't have any subtitle or anything, we have to give it a number so we can specify it from the others, even though it doesn't actually have a number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's John Wick, then John Wick 2, then John Wick 3: Parabellum. Because John Wick 2 doesn't have a colon after it. It's just this is the second one.
Well, it's John Wick Chapter 2.
Oh, yeah, but it's still Chapter 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not pentagrams.
Pentagrams.
I don't know. It's just, I couldn't think of a P word that was better. I tried. I failed.
Thank you for making up that nonsense and gave me time to stall while I think about
yeah,
it.
you're welcome. It's what I do.
I guess my 3-word review would be Keanu, guns, badass.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Keanu, guns,
a list of things about
badass.
John Wick.
Very good.
So that's my 3-word review of John Wick. I'm
Yeah.
glad I watched it. Actually, tomorrow night, Sarah and I are going to watch the sequel, and I'm hoping that Parabellum is still in the theaters so we can maybe see it this weekend.
It should be. I don't think it's gone yet.
I never know how that timing works anymore. Like,
yeah. I mean, it really just depends on how well the tickets are selling. Like, because I think is Endgame still in theaters, and that's been
Yeah, it
forever.
definitely is.
Yeah. So it's like if it's making money, then like who's to say take it down?
I mean, I will say I saw Endgame for the second time about a week ago, and the theater was more than half full still. So,
yeah, people are still seeing it. You know, they gotta experience it on the big screen. I have to see it a second time, probably, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully, we forgot that we were going to see it a second time for reasons.
For that other podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, what is the thing that you've watched most recently?
Well, technically, the movie that I most recently watched was Dark Phoenix, and it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And you can hear my thoughts on that on another podcast because I don't feel like talking about it again. So my 3-word review of that is it's fine. Yeah. Question mark. It's got to be a question mark though.
Right.
But I did finally get into a comedy piece called Documentary Now.
Oh yes.
On Netflix, and I'm digging it. I am enjoying Documentary Now. It's really well done, and they seem to really understand like the motifs of certain documentary styles. Like I watched the first one, which is a tribute to Grey Gardens that turns into the Blair Witch Project a little bit, and it's just ridiculous, and I loved it. And then the one they did after that, which was like kind of mimicking Vice documentaries. I like it. I usually am not like a huge Fred Armisen fan. I didn't get behind Portlandia in a major way. I like Fred Armisen on like SNL and stuff, but I like the other projects that he's doing immensely. Documentary Now with Bill Hader is just really great, and they have a really nice chemistry. But it is a show that I keep watching at like the end of the day, so I keep falling asleep while watching Documentary Now. So take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. But I mean, the documentary style is kind of like soothing to me because I usually fall asleep to like David Attenborough talking about nature. So anything that's like not really super like here's all this plot and here's all this action or here's all this fantasy or bright colors, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep, even if it is in a comedy context. But I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's worth checking out, if anything, just to watch Helen Mirren open them every time, because that's amazing. She's like, hello,
amazing.
I'm Helen Mirren, and this is Documentary Now, celebrating 50 years. But yeah, the one after was a send up of Nanook of the North, which I knew nothing about going into it, and I was like, this is a documentary that really happened, like what is happening? But the premise of Canuck the Hunter is this Inuit gets really like caught up in like being famous and being the subject of a documentary, and then is actually a really good filmmaker. It's really fascinating, and I liked it a lot. Yeah, they're just ridiculous, and I will definitely keep watching Documentary Now just to see like what other loving send-ups they do.
Yeah, I've heard of it and I've watched bits and pieces, but I haven't sat down with it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Bill Hader. He's one of my favorite of the newer generation SNL folk. His impressions are just like disturbingly accurate.
Yeah.
Who does an Alan Alda impression? Bill Hader. That's
right?
Who does an
Bill
Alan
Hader.
Alda impression.
Yeah.
Well,
Genius.
I'm that guy. It's why I've loved everyone's favorite Jew, Kevin Pollak, for so long, is because he's another guy who can do impressions like he does an impression of what's his name, Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
And it's like I love Alan Arkin, but who does an impression of Alan Arkin? You know. but obscure impressions are funny to me because if I know who they're impersonating, it's even more astounding.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments recently with impressions was, what's his name from The Lonely Island? Jake Peralta. Why can't Andy Samberg? I knew I'd get there. I just had to say more names of characters he did. Andy Samberg was on the Howard Stern show and was talking about his audition for SNL. Was Jimmy Fallon being like a kid at a theme park? Like that was his impression because he just pretended to be Jimmy Fallon excited, which is really easy because you kind of just have to make noise.
Yeah.
It was really good. But yeah, documentary now always seemed interesting. It's funny. I don't watch a lot of documentaries, and I thought I would, and I probably should, because a lot of the content I watch these days is a lot of stuff on YouTube, and it's mostly like, video essays or behind the scenes stuff. Like I've been obsessed. I'm someone who's always liked epic rap battles. I know that some people don't, some people do. I've always enjoyed their content, but now that they're doing behind the scenes stuff, I find it really fascinating how they do the costumes, the green screen, the writing process, all of that
I
stuff.
really like that they've extended their BTS stuff too. The BTS stuff used to just be quick cuts, and now they're actually like getting in depth onto how they're making the videos.
Yeah.
I like that every time anyone says BTS, meaning behind the scenes, I'm instantly thinking of K-pop superstars BTS. I'm like, yeah, BTS, tell me more about their album. Oh, wait, no, behind the scenes. Sorry. It's my whole life.
Because I don't watch a lot of documentaries these days. I mean, the last one I can remember watching was I rewatched the Nerdcore Rising recently just because I know a lot of those jerks now. And so I was curious to, like, rewatch it.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, hey, there's so-and-so. Like now I'm fairly friendly in an internet way anyway with Beefy, who's in that. But, like, at the time, I had no idea who he was, you know. I knew Front a lot when I first watched that documentary and a few others. But for the most part, I didn't know any of the plethora of folks that they interview, which I thought was fascinating. But yeah, I should watch more, and documentary now sounds like something I would probably enjoy.
Yeah, it's really cute.
What would be your 3-word review of documentary now?
Oh gosh. You think I would have one already. Researched, silly, entertainment.
Excellent. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah, because I think that because it's kind of hard now that we're sort of expanding what we're doing as a podcast, because distilling this into like 3 words when it's a show where each episode is almost its own mini movie is kind of difficult to sort of like put, because like Canuck the Hunter is a completely different piece than the Grey Gardens send up. You know, they're just like they're edited differently, they're stylized differently. But it's really worth checking out for sure. Also, if I may just like step to the side of what I just said, speaking of Fred Armisen, a new HBO show started up with Armisen in a supporting role called Los Espookies. And there's only 1 episode out, and it's on HBO, and it was so very, very, very good. It's about this young man who's really good at like horror special effects, and his friends, and a weird gig that they get to like decorate and do a fake exorcism. And I cannot recommend it enough, and I will definitely be bringing that to the table as it unfolds, because there's only 1 20-minute episode, and I can't really speak any more to what it is, but I loved it. It was really good. Los Espookies.
Yeah, I saw a few friends of mine share the poster for that, and I squinted. I was like, "Is that Fred Armisen in the back?"
Yeah,
so,
he plays their uncle.
Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's very good. 20 minutes of your time, absolutely worth it.
Awesome, noted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to our guest of honor, Insane Ian. Thank you for being on the show. What is the most recent thing you have watched, sir?
Well, like Rachel, the most recent thing I had seen was actually Dark Phoenix.
Yes, then let's talk about it. I'm ready.
I wanted to go see something today. I wanted to go see Men in Black International. or Godzilla King of the Monsters, but I was stuck helping a friend record today, so I didn't get a chance to get out of the house. I like to go on Tuesdays because, hey, $6 movies at AMC, and I'm cheap and
Nice.
out of a day job, so cheap movies is a good idea for me right now. But last week I saw Dark Phoenix, and I didn't hate it. It's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie. It just kind of exists.
It just is.
It just
Yeah.
is. It's better, I will say, it is better than X3 X-Men United, which did the Dark Phoenix movie idea before. And
Yeah.
it is also better than the last X-Men movie, Apocalypse. So it has those
very low
going-
bars.
it's very low bars to clear, but it clears them.
It clears them.
But
Yeah.
just barely. Like, it grazes its ass on it right when it goes over.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, you can tell that the ending was kind of, oh, they reshot that. But for the most part, I mean, it's some of the action set pieces are really enjoyable. Some of the choices they make for characters really seem to be more influenced by outside influences than actual story-driven choices. Like, can I do a spoiler alert here?
Sure.
Yes.
Spoilers for a really shitty X-Men movie. Go
Spoilers
ahead.
for spoilers.
Hey.
Spoilers for a not
Spoilers for a
yeah,
X-Men
for
movie.
a not
Okay.
for a not great
I'm not
X-Men
going to
movie.
be that mean. Yeah.
Spoilers for a not
Fair
great
enough.
X-Men movie.
Shittier
There, was,
X-Men movies.
there definitely have been,
Fine.
and this also is
fine.
kind of spoiled in one of the trailers anyway. So kind of a spoiler, kind of not. I really feel like they killed off Mystique because Jennifer Lawrence just didn't want to play the character anymore.
Yep.
That's really how
Yeah.
it felt, because even if you just watch Jennifer Lawrence and the evolution of the Mystique makeup in the movies that she's in the first movie, she has all the scales and looks like the Rebecca Romijn version of the character. And I do love, like, when she morphs into the older version of Mystique, she is Rebecca Romijn. That was a nice touch in First Class. But beyond that, as the movies have progressed and Jennifer Lawrence became a bigger name since that movie, the amount of makeup has changed. And she barely has any scales on her face and is a much lighter blue in this movie than in previous films. And it really seemed like an outside influence of, I'm done with this. Can we just kill me off in this movie? It's a very Bill Murray in Ghostbusters 3 kind of idea, So it's just like, I'm done with it. I don't want to do it anymore. Yes, okay, I'll be in it for this amount, but please, can we just table me? Just kill me off.
Yeah.
And
but I will also say, if we're going to talk about, like, refusing the makeup chair, Nicholas Hoult, also, who is playing Hank, aka the Beast, also doesn't spend a lot of time in his blue Beast form.
Yeah, he just
like
they don't even explain it. He was able to change in previous movies because he took a serum. Now he can change at will.
At will, yeah.
So
because I'm sure Nicholas Hoult is like, I'm not sitting in the makeup chair for 6 hours for Dark Phoenix. I'm not
Nightcrawler.
doing that.
Nightcrawler.
You know
this
what?
was only
I am
his second
fine
movie as
with
Nightcrawler,
that.
so he put up with
It's like, it's fine. I can't listen. I will say, of the things that are fine about this movie, whatever, who cares, I'm sad that they just wasted Nightcrawler. That actor looks like so good. I would love to watch them just pick up that actor and be like, let's do the Nightcrawler series where Nightcrawler's a detective kind of outside of the world of the X-Men, and is just like, I'm super religious, and also I'm gonna fight demons, and people think I'm a demon, but I'm actually really nice, and I believe in God, and I'm a Catholic, and I don't know, just like, what's happening? Like, I would love that. Give me that movie, please.
Yes.
Well, many outlets have said, like, and so it's not an original idea, but the X-Men is destined for TV better than movies. Like, it's a better serial story to tell, because unlike Avengers, which have their original comics that then come together, the X-Men have always been a conglomerate. For the most part, they have offshoots eventually, but a lot of them debut in the mainline X-Men and before they debut anywhere else. And so to try and do the same kind of assemblage they've done with the Avengers in the movies, I just don't think would work. But having an ensemble cast in a weekly or monthly or whatever, or eight-part miniseries or something would probably do a lot better. I don't think I'll go see Dark Phoenix in the theaters, and not because I'm like, I'm overly aggressively annoyed at this movie, because I'm not only obsessed they wasted Nightcrawler, but like, we never thought we'd get a better version of Magneto and Professor X, and then we did.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really mad that they wasted that, because while I had my doubts, like everybody did, James McAvoy stepped up, and so and so did what's his name?
Fassbender.
Like, I think Fassbender's version of Magneto is closer to the comics than Ian McKellen's. Ian McKellen's delivery of the dialogue was phenomenal, and he's a great actor and a great Magneto, but he doesn't feel to me like the cartoon or comic book version, whereas Fassbender absolutely did.
Although it would have been nice if they had actually, like, grayed his hair at least for this movie. It's been 40 years since First Class, and he looks exactly the goddamn same.
So young. It's bonkers. Like, First Class takes place in the 60s.
This takes place
in
the 90s.
This is the 90s. And McAvoy is just like, I'm like 5 years older. It's fine.
Yeah.
Mutants, they don't age, but we won't explain it. It's fine.
Well, McAvoy is at least bald, so you're like, okay, that kind of signifies age, even though he lost his hair because of Apocalypse. What?
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah.
And also the Phoenix Force
came
out in
Apocalypse. The last time I trusted someone, I lost my hair.
Yeah, right. That's a thing, I guess. Whatever. We got Dazzler finally. I'm happy with that brief cameo.
I did hear about that. I think that for me, I'll eventually watch it when it's on whatever streaming service it ends up on. But the problem for me is so I'm a diehard Wolverine fan, and we got very lucky that even though Hugh Jackman didn't always look the part, he was a great Wolverine through most things. Once I got to Logan, though, I was like, okay, this story's done. I'm good. And so for then Dark Phoenix to be after all of that stuff, I felt like my time with this franchise was even kind of done. Like, I love the Deadpool movies. I enjoy both of them, Problems and all, and the second one. I rewatched the second one recently, and I still enjoy it. I just, Dark Phoenix has felt soulless from announcement to release. There's nothing about this release of the movie other than, let's get one more out. Like, it's felt that way from the beginning. And I feel bad for everyone involved, because the cast is very talented. The director and writer is very talented.
Yeah.
These aren't people who don't have any skill. They're trying to wrap up this thing and agreed to do it. And it just feels empty to me, even without having seen the full movie.
Well, I will say, just to get ahead of this, or from a different position, or play devil's advocate, or however you want to say it, they all still made their money. It's not like they didn't get paid, and everybody, and this is something that I learned while recording the Dark Phoenix episode of the Infinity Podcast. No one who was in this movie was on contract for another X-Men movie. They just liked the director and were like, hey, let's just go and be in this. So they hung out, they had a good time. The movie's fine, and everybody seems to just be there for it, and that's better than some things that have come through the pipeline, where everyone's like, I'm here, you know what, why not?
Yeah very much so.
That's totally true.
The studio did it as a way to we should probably wrap up this storyline that we started in the last movie, even though the overall thing ends with Logan, because of Logan's in the future and this is still in the 90s. But everybody else was doing it because we like these people. So which is fine. It's just nobody outside of the studio really felt the need for the movie, and that translates to the audience not feeling the need for the movie.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Which the box office has shown.
Yes.
Poor Dark Phoenix.
So my 3-word review of this is also the same as Rachel's, is meh. It's fine.
It's fine, yeah?
It's fine. It's fine. It's better than a handful of the X-Men movies. The X-Men movies, there are, how many of them? 9? if you count the Deadpools and the Wolverine offshoots and everything, and it's probably more than 9 actually. And if New Mutants ever comes out, which it was supposed to be August this year, and they're still haven't done those reshoots yet because Maisie Williams got older. So that might be February of next year. We'll see. It's better than a handful of the X-Men movies. It's still not great, but it is better than some of the bad ones. So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Here's a question that I have for you guys, because you just mentioned Maisie Williams and the New Mutants. Where do you think Amelia Clark would go in the X-Men franchise?
That's a good question.
I know, right? It just came to me, and I don't have an answer for it. But if
the original British
if
Betsy
Sons
Braddock.
of Fears, ooh,
Yeah, Betsy Braddock
Ooh.
before she turns into Olivia Munn.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I could because of her dark hair in not Rogue One, Solo.
Yeah.
In real life, you mean?
Rogue. Yeah, in real life and in real life. I could picture her as a rogue. Like I can picture a white stripe down, especially the shorter
Ooh.
hair she has it,
Yeah.
the way she has it done up in Solo specifically. I could see like the stripe in the front and her doing a rogue type character or rogue specifically.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for us to get an actual accurate on-screen rogue as opposed to Jubilee Light like we got in the original movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got Anna Paquin in the OG as Rogue, and I liked Anna Paquin's Rogue a lot.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I
was-
meant. She wasn't Rogue. She was Jubilee Light. She was not the character of Rogue. She was named Rogue, but she didn't have any of Rogue's powers because all of Rogue's powers come from Captain Marvel.
So instead, she could only drain.
She
so
could
it's like it
only
was
drain. She
before
didn't have the
met-
strength. She didn't have
Yeah.
the speed. She didn't
Yeah.
have the flight. She didn't have Carol living in her head.
Well, now we can do it because Carol
Exactly.
Danvers is here. She's here, and I love her, and she's gonna fuck with. Let's not though. Let's not do X-Men for like 10 years.
Yeah,
How does
I'm
that sound?
totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Like
Just
I'm
let's not.
terrified that they're gonna rush into the Fantastic Four again, and I don't want it. I
They're-
want.
I don't think they're rushing into it because the word is 2022.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I will take a Fantastic Four movie now that it is in the MCU in 2022. I'll
Yeah.
take
you
it.
just want your John Krasinski,
I
Mr.
do.
Fantastic.
I
yeah.
absolutely do.
Who
because
wouldn't?
that's a very good casting choice,
It's
and I
true.
don't often
and
get
Emily
it right,
Blunt
but
as,
that
as Invisible Woman
crushes.
too.
Huh?
Yeah, and
Yes.
Emily Blunt is Invisible Woman.
Yes, yes, yes. And John Hamm is Ben Grimm. Get over yourselves. I think it's fantastic.
No, I like John
Literally.
Hamm as Ben Grimm. I think that
Very
would work.
good.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's in his handsome jerk wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I think I just
'Cause
saw
I
a
think it
handsome
would just
jerk
be-
wheelhouse open for Scooter Picnic.
All right.
Shit.
So moving on from movies, let's chat a little bit about your movie podcast, Ian, that
Yeah,
you're one
Ian.
of the hosts of,
Sure.
which is IP Consultants.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how it came to be, and how you guys like decided to specifically do IPs instead of movies specifically, TV specifically, but like by starting with an IP and then trying to make it better.
Yes, and for those who don't know, an IP is intellectual property.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm here to help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For all your acronym needs. So
Yeah,
IP Consultants is a podcast I do with Vincent E.L., who is a nerdcore rapper. He goes by Vincent the Earwig Linguist. And he is a dude in Sweden who pitched the show idea to me. He's like, hey, I've got an idea for a
Nice.
podcast where we talk about pop culture and intellectual properties. Anybody interested in that? And I said, this is the kind of thing I like to talk about to people who have no interest in me talking about it to them. Let me absolutely do this with you. And the premise of the show is that we are two people who are completely unqualified to give advice on intellectual properties and then just give you our unsolicited opinion on what you should do with all that intellectual property you have lying around.
Very fun.
And it's a lot of pop culture infused ideas. We run through. We don't really have too much of a format per se. It is just a kind of loose conversation of, hey, this is this franchise. Either the franchise has been dormant for a little bit, or it's going through a change, or it's very active, or it's a rumor that we've heard about a franchise forthcoming. We recorded an episode recently about She-Hulk, because there's that rumor that Disney Plus is doing a TV show with Hulk and She-Hulk. So we gave.
I would live for a She-Hulk TV show.
As would we. I
would throw myself just into the ocean to get it made.
Well, the rumor is that's what they're doing for Disney Plus. It's going to start out with Ruffalo and transition into whoever will play Jennifer Walters. So we will see if that rumor is true. Haven't heard anything about it since those rumblings came about months ago. But we recorded one, and that should go up. God, I hope it goes up this week. We've been on hiatus for the past month.
Before they announce a She-Hulk show and make me so happy.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so we've covered a lot of kind of dormant things, properties that we really haven't heard about for a while. We covered Commander Keen a couple episodes ago, and then at E3 they announced a new Commander Keen game. So
boom.
Yeah, what are the odds? You're relevant.
We are occasionally relevant, and it happens occasionally. Usually, it's all merely by coincidence, just because it's something that we felt like talking about. I think the most recent episode that's coming up, when we finally get a new episode up, is Vin Diesel's Triple X franchise.
Ooh.
Excellent.
Very
because
cool.
those movies are re-goddamn ridiculous, and we love ridiculous movies.
Yes.
And so that was a lot of fun to talk about. Like, what the hell would you do with this franchise now? You've had 3 movies that are connected, but not connected, but connected. And so it's kind of like, where do you transition from that point? So, yeah. And sometimes with when it gets to the end of the show, we will go into ridiculous predictions.
Very fun.
So we talked about, like, bringing it's been since Spider-Gwen was introduced in Enter the Spider-Verse movie, we would talk about, let's just make it completely ridiculous. Let's do an entire Gweniverse movie. You have Spider-Gwen, and you have Gwenom, and you have Gwenpool, and you have other characters that don't have Gwen in the name in the universe now. And yeah, it's a whole thing.
Man.
Yes.
Well, I for one am a active listener, as you know. I'm a fan. I've suggested topics.
Yes.
I've relentlessly suggested other topics that you guys are conveniently avoiding at the moment, and I don't blame you.
It's just I don't know where we would go with it, but I honestly I'll pitch it to Vincent, and we'll see what it comes up, because we actually haven't recorded in the past 2 weeks, and we've been like, we don't have anything to record. We have that. We'll see if we do anything with that. So.
Yeah, the reason I keep suggesting, for those listening, I keep yelling at them to talk about Garfield, because there have been 2 Garfield movies and a ton of TV shows, is because I follow this artist named Lumpy Touch, and he's done this series of
the
Garfield, Garfield Game Boy, where it's Garfield but survival horror, where Garfield is a monster and John is trying to survive, and like. It's just so brilliant, and the long form version that he released on YouTube recently, I think their pronoun is he. Let's say they for safekeeping.
Yeah.
They released it on YouTube in full length with more narrative, and like I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Well, the thing is that because
it's.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because it's so ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous, but the Game Boy game itself that they made, was based on just random art that looked like that. And I love the way that things spawn from other things to become so much more and greater and cool. It was 4 drawings that popped up of Garfield as this Lovecraftian elder god beast that just turned into this bizarre nightmare. And he's like, yeah, I'll make a Game Boy game of this. And that looks amazing.
Also,
Yeah.
They'll never make this because if they made Garfield an eldritch horror, it would just ruin the stock on Garfield Eats.
Yeah.
They just
Right.
can't now because Garfield's a pizza. and an
Garfield's a
app.
pizza.
And he's
Isn't there a Garfield themed restaurant now somewhere?
Garfield
yeah,
Eats. That's what it's called. And it's what is it? Engaging? What is the weird thing that the CEO came up with where it's like entertainment and engagement?
Intergagement?
Intergagement.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, get out. But yeah, they can't. They can't make Garfield an eldritch horror thing because then who's gonna buy a Garfuccino?
Yes.
A Garfuccino. Exactly. Changing gears a little bit, Ian, I want to talk about your parody music that you do very well and have done for a while.
Thank you.
Is there been a favorite pop culture reference that you've done a parody of, whether it's movie, TV, video game? Like, I know it's like picking, Sophie's Choice.
It
picking your
really
favorite
is
child.
like picking my favorite child.
Yeah, you can't ask a musician to pick their favorite song.
I
You can always ask them which one they hate the most, and I'm pretty sure everyone's got that one.
There's definitely a few of those. My Green Lantern song is probably one for me.
Yeah.
But I will say there is a song that I'm immensely proud of that actually a song and an EP. We'll get into that for in a minute. But there was one piece of work that took a like 2 years to compose and write and actually get finished, that I was immensely proud of, that really didn't get noticed very much but is starting to get noticed now. And that is my Meatloaf pastiche called Rules of the Road. It was the album closer for my double album Internet Famous. And it's very Jim Steinman-esque. It's not a direct parody of any particular Meatloaf song, but it is a pastiche, a style parody, if you will, of several of Jim Steinman's works with Meatloaf, including Bat Outta Hell, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, I'd Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That, Home by Now, which was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I think there's other references in there to other songs of his. And basically the idea is that every Meatloaf song, every single one that's at least written by Jim Steinman, uses car references and car imagery as innuendo for sex. Every Meatloaf song. They always use car innuendo for sex. I removed all the innuendo, and all the car references are specifically about cars.
That's good.
And
I like
amazing.
It is a 7.5 minute epic about being stuck in a traffic jam.
Wow.
Nice. Excellent.
And it goes through all the different things, and my ex-wife, the Stacy, sings the female vocals on it, coming in randomly like the female vocals usually do in a Meatloaf song.
Yeah.
You're listening to Meatloaf, and suddenly there's another vocalist. Excellent. All right.
Man, I cannot tell you the number of times dudes at karaoke, when I hosted karaoke in Astoria, would be like, will you sing the lady part in Paradise by the Dashboard Light? And I would look at them and go, I don't know that song. And they were so offended. I'm like, I'm not old enough for Meatloaf yet. It's fine.
That was actually
now
one
I'm
of
like
my
now
standards.
I'm in my 30s. I'm ready for some Meatloaf.
Ready for the
realness.
Meatloaf train?
Yeah, but like at 24, I was like, what? No.
By the way, in the interest of comedy, did y'all hear that Meatloaf finally said exactly what he wouldn't do? And I won't do that.
I heard that he said it. I didn't hear what it was.
It's butt stuff.
I knew it.
Of
I've
course.
always known it was butt stuff.
It's butt stuff. He said
Shame
in
on
an
him.
interview that when he sang that, when he wrote that song, it was because he wouldn't do anal. And I was like, really? I mean, okay.
Has he changed his opinion since writing that song? Does he do butt stuff now? Because that's 2019 and everybody eats ass.
Not to my knowledge, Meatloaf has not officially come out on saying whether he will or not do butt stuff now. But
for the record,
he wrote a song about it.
I do want a T-shirt now that just says, I knew it was butt stuff.
I knew it was butt stuff. I knew it.
That could be the official Screen Snark T-shirt.
I knew it
Knew
was butt stuff.
Yes.
I mean, it's definitely.
I feel that's a little stealing from the Afterbirth Monkey brand, but I'll take it.
That's true. I mean,
Which, by the way, I am so glad you guys are doing stuff again.
Oh, me too. Mark Robert Turner can never move away again.
never.
Ever.
He's not allowed.
Official
We're keeping
decision. I will go full misery on his ass if he
Oh.
tries to move again.
I'll help you. Like he'll live
Thank
in our
you.
basement. It's
The
fine,
board
our
and the
communal
sledgehammer, and that's not pretty.
Yeah, no, I will do that to preserve my Afterbirth Monkey legacy. I am prepared.
Oh, God. I love the stuff you guys do so much, and I'm so glad to see you guys doing it again.
Thank you.
So,
It's good to be
so
back.
happy. Need to get you guys out to Chicago for Fump Fest at some point.
Please, yes, we used to go for Laughing Stock
Yeah.
back in the day, so we can make that road trip. We've done it twice.
Sweet.
We'll do it again. Just let us know. We'll go. I love
Making
Chicago.
Moves. Making
Yeah,
moves on
yeah.
the old podcast.
Yeah. Any other cities want two weirdos who sing about butt stuff, and we do butt stuff. We are the Nega Meatloaf, Afterbirth Monkey. Just hit us up. We'll go anywhere.
Nega
But you
Meatloaf is the
Nega
weirdest
Meatloaf.
Scott Pilgrim reference.
Mega Meatloaf is the name of
No,
my.
not Mega Meatloaf. Nega Meatloaf.
Nega with
Oh,
an
Like
N.
Nega Duck,
Nega
but like
As in
Meatloaf.
negative.
Nega Meatloaf.
I like
Negative
Nega
Meatloaf.
Scott. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
Shadow Meatloaf. Dark Meatloaf.
Dark Meatloaf is that's just the gravy.
Dark Meatloaf is the name of my Paul and Storm cover band.
There you go.
There it
Dark
is.
That's very good.
I was looking for the band, and I was like, let's go with the original.
Let's go with the ones who
Let's
started
bring
the
it back to
joke.
stars. Yeah. Ian, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, for letting me yammer my face off for a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, that's something I've known through the internet that you're very good at. So,
Yes.
when you need someone to yammer, you're the guy.
Shut Up, Ian isn't just a song title, it's an absolute suggestion.
Oh no.
I was very happy to have gotten to have done that live once at this past MagFest in person when I met you in the flesh for the first
Yeah.
time. That was
Aw.
enjoyable. All right, well, you know the deal, Ian, but before we get to the final question, Rachel,
Yes.
we have some thank yous, don't we?
Yes, we do, and I would very much, with all my heart, like to thank John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
And I would like to thank Katie Bugg for her incredible logo work. Our logo on all the social medias was designed by her, and then additional designs of logos by Case Aiken, who I want to start thanking as well.
Yes, also thank you, Case Aiken. And thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of your family. There's so many wonderful shows you can check out on Certain Point of View, including a tabletop role-playing game called Scruffy Nerf Herders.
Which some folks on this podcast might be making a cameo on soon.
And maybe there'll be a crossover. Who knows? I don't.
Who
I'm not
knows?
saying anything. I signed an NDA.
And yeah, if you want to know more about Certain POV, you go to certainpov.com. We have a Discord channel where we chat about all the podcasts and crack jokes and share a lot of memes. You can go there as well and join in on the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, Rachel, will you please bombard our guest with his final question?
Of course.
I've braced myself.
Ian.
Yes.
May I call you Ian?
I would hope
If
so.
that's even your real name, Ian.
Last I checked, it was, yes.
There are many tropes in the world of film and television, in visual media, as it were, and some of them are good and will lift up a property, and some of them are terrible and will make you groan in the middle of your watch of Dark Phoenix. If you had to choose any trope to be true in your life, what trope would you choose?
Ooh.
Choose wisely, Ian. This could be your life.
I want the Ferris Bueller trope. In movies like Ferris Bueller, where the protagonist doesn't appear to have the means, but is always able to pay for everything. Going out to the museums, the fancy dinner,
Yes.
the baseball game, everything. But we don't know where he gets the money from. He's a student.
Oh, Yeah.
He's a student. He doesn't have a job. It's not an
Yeah.
allowance. The way Ferris got it was a cutscene that they never even filmed. He talked his dad into letting him know where his savings bonds were, but they thought it made it turn him into too much of a creep. But yes, your protagonist in your film, and this happens in numerous films, but Ferris is the one that immediately sprung to mind, is where do they get the money? Doesn't matter. They never say. He just has the money. And since I'm out of work right now, I could really use the money.
Yeah, you know what? That trope is my favorite trope because that trope is socialism.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
There you go.
There's
Fuck
your
off.
slogan for your T-shirt. That trope is socialism.
That trope is socialism, and I want it true in my life. Thank you.
Ian, before we wrap up, tell folks where they can find you on the internet and where they
Please
can buy
do.
your music so you have more money.
Yeah, my CDs and albums and MP3 files, if you want to go digital or whatever, can be available at insaneian.bandcamp.com. I do bizarre videos on the internet because I'm a person on the internet. So, of course, therefore, I also have a Patreon, like everyone else, which is patreon.com/insaneian. Occasionally, I play video games on Twitch. Just search for insane_Ian. And basically, if you look for Insane Ian or Insane Ian B, you'll find me. Twitter, Instagram, what have you. And, of course, IP Consultants podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Podbean, etc.
A real Renaissance Ian, let me tell you.
He is the Renaissance Ian, I would say.
The Renaissance Ian, for sure.
All other Ians, stay down.
Yeah,
Your
you're
time
not a
is
Renaissance
done.
Ian.
Especially if you pronounce it Ian.
Especially you, Ian McKellen.
Oh,
Especially
no,
you.
He's all right.
Oh, no, right. I love Ian McKellen.
Yeah,
I regret that.
We've established that.
Yeah. And Ian McKellen, if you're listening, first of all, thank you. Second of all, please come on our podcast.
Yeah, come on our podcast. Why not?
Any
Talk
of our
with you.
podcasts. We're all
Any
open.
of them. All of them.
All of them. All the many podcasts we
Sound
all
bites
have.
for all podcasts from Ian McKellen. That's what my socialism looks like.
Thank you, listeners, for listening, of course. Thank you to Ian for being our guest.
Ian.
Thank you, guys.
I've been your host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
I have been Rachel Corky Shank.
And we will see you at the movies or on a couch near you.
Boom.